Revenue sharing is coming, and it'll be the final blow to Notre Dame's independence. And they'll have no choice but to join a conference. That conference will be the Big Ten. I'll tell you why. Lockdown Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and I'm a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. So we're going to talk about how revenue sharing will end Notre Dame's independence. Plus, we've got portal news, and Oregon football tickets are flying off the shelves, plus our top 10, Big Ten top 10 observations from the weekend. Let's get back to Notre Dame and the tie with the Big Ten here, though. Notre Dame's days as an independent in athletics are numbered. The business model for revenue sharing that's coming down the pike is not a sustainable business model for many. Truth be told, it's not going to be an easy business model for the wealthy schools that are bringing in $100 million a year from their media revenue. It's going to be tough on everybody. Quick recap in case you missed our explanation last week or you haven't followed all the nitty-gritty details of this lawsuit that's going on with the NCAA. But here's the deal. The NCAA, as it currently stands, is on the verge of financial collapse due to a lawsuit called House versus NCAA. It's an antitrust suit alleging that the NCAA suppressed student athletes' ability to make money. This suit came about seeking prior damages once name, image, and likeness became a legal thing for everybody. Now, make no mistake about it. The NCAA is going to lose this lawsuit. They're going to lose big. And because it's a civil suit, the possibility are that the damages could be tripled. Okay. We're talking big numbers here. Conservative estimates say that the NCAA will owe at least $2.7 billion on this deal. Some estimates exceed $4 billion. That happens night to the NCAA. They're out. Regardless of the number we're talking about, it's billions with a B. Now, a frantic effort is going on behind the scenes to come up with some sort of settlement that would allow the NCAA to exist. And part of that settlement would include the implementation of an overreaching revenue share plan with the student athletes. Now, they would basically become employees, and the financial playing field for all the schools would be significantly leveled. Some teams are really good at NIL, and some don't have a whole lot, and players are making money here and not here. It's going to even it out just a little bit. Again, we'll get into the details of that once a plan is put in place on a podcast here, but now is not the time for that. However, athletic directors are now being told to carve out $300 million per school over the next 10 years. So $30 million a year as a line item on their athletic department budgets per school. $30 million a year. And that will be for revenue sharing with the athletes. That's where we're headed. They're being told to prepare for it now. So what does that mean for Notre Dame and its future independence? And how does this involve the Big Ten? Well, I'll explain. Just before its most recent deal with NBC, did you know that Notre Dame was making about $22 million a year off of its NBC media deal? Now, its new deal with NBC will pay it around $50 million a year, so more than double. And it also earns about $17 million a year for its loose association with the ACC for non-football sports. All right, so let's do the simple math here. Between Notre Dame's NBC money and its ACC affiliation, that brings in $67 million of revenue each year. All right, not bad. However, now subtract $30 million from that $67 million, because that's the $30 million they're going to have to pay in revenue sharing if this settlement works out the way we think it will. $30 million out of 67 million of the majority of its revenue. That's a 45% revenue share. That is not a sustainable business model. Not at all. So Notre Dame, in my opinion, is going to have to join a conference. Absolutely. And we've talked about this before. Will it happen? Will not? Well, this is going to force it to happen. Absolutely. The question is, which conference, right? First of all, no major school in its right mind would join the ACC right now. No way. They got the lowest TV revenue of any major conference. And as soon as Florida State and Clemson find a legal loophole or legal win a lawsuit here, they're out. They're out, and the ACC is going to blow up as we know it. So even though that Notre Dame is loosely affiliated with the ACC because it's non-football schools, everything but hockey play over the ACC, they're not going to stay over there. There's no money there. So how would Notre Dame like the $100 million a year that the Big Ten schools get? They get every year from their media deals. Yeah, that starts to look a lot better, right? So if you have to stroke a check every year for $30 million to pay student athletes for revenue sharing, and you're going to get $100 million a year instead of $67 million a year, now that's a much stronger business model, isn't it? Notre Dame to the Big Ten. That's what's going to happen. It all comes down to math. This is going to be what finally forces Notre Dame's hand. They've been clinging like grim death to the idea of independence in the old-timey days. It's over. It's over. Now, the Big Ten has long offered a long-standing invite to Notre Dame to join them. The Big Ten would love to have Notre Dame. And again, they have held off because they wanted to remain independent. They've continually refused the invite from the Big Ten because they want to be independent. Now, once all this legal stuff is done with House versus NCAA and revenue sharing is the way of the land, it'll be a wrap. And Notre Dame will be joining the Big Ten, in my opinion. Now, this is usually the point where I start getting a lot of hate comments from the Golden Domers out there. They all come, well, I'm never going to join a conference. You don't know what you're talking about. We're a special school. We're going to be independent forever. We'll see. Notre Dame, your time's running out. Things are changing too fast, way too fast. And the old way isn't going to cut it anymore. This is about survival right now. And you're going to have to join a conference that's going to pay you a lot more. So you heard it here. We've talked about it before. Notre Dame to the Big Ten. Once this whole revenue sharing lawsuit thing irons out, it's going to be a necessity. It's going to be an absolute necessity. Hey, if you like what you see here, tell your friends about it, especially if you know some Big Ten alum. I always ask everybody, if you don't mind, if you could just subscribe real quick. Just click it on. It's free. No other information is required. Get you in our Big Ten club. Every day we're out here putting out podcasts. We absolutely love it. You can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcasts. And the way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. The audio only, if you just listen to audio podcasts, it comes out at 4 a.m. Eastern every single day. The video comes out on the YouTube at 6 a.m. Eastern, and it's there for you each day. But if you're a subscriber, it'll be right there ready for you to go each and every day. And we always ask you guys to give us a little word of mouth out there with your other Big Ten friends as well. All right. We got a lot of transfer portal news still. Guys are deciding where they're going to go. Now that the portal's closed, if they're not in it now, they're staying. But those that all entered, they can take as much time as they want to pick a new school. And some guys are kind of moving on to other schools. So we have some news there. We'll keep you updated. And if you are excited about the Oregon Ducks football season, first of all, you should be. Tickets are going to be hard to find because, Autzen Stadium's a little smaller. And they're selling out. And Ohio State people are trying to get those tickets for that guy. We'll talk about all of this. It's all coming up here as we continue right here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. All right, LinkedIn Jobs. I want to tell you about them. They're fantastic. When you're hiring for your small business or your office and you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, check in with LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And it's not just some job board out there. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to a perfect role with you. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. So LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing a lot of hats. You got a lot to do. If you need to fill a job, you got to get on it. And LinkedIn Jobs is here to help. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege and post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I want to thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe, as we talked about earlier. That really helps us out, both of us. And you can subscribe on YouTube and also share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. We've got a bunch of stuff there. All of our podcasts are there. Every one we've ever done, we just archive it there in order or by team, by school. You can also get yourself some nice merchandise, shirts, hats, pennants, stuff for your office. It's all right there. Talkbig10.com. Hey, Iowa football might be getting an additional quarterback in the portal, and they need one. They absolutely do. Look, Cade McNamara, been hurt 3 times in the last 18 months, still recovering from a knee injury that he suffered in week 5. And his backup, Deacon Hill, after spring ball, even though Deacon got most of the snap, he portaled out of there. So we'll tie this together because Northwestern's presumed starting quarterback, Brendan Sullivan, surprisingly left the Wildcats last week. So let's put these two things together, shall we? Sullivan visited Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes recently. Now, here's why this might be a good fit. In addition to being a major need for the Hawkeyes, Sullivan was a 3-star recruit out of Michigan, the state of Michigan, out of high school. And one of the schools recruiting him back in the day was Western Michigan. And you remember who the head coach at Western Michigan was? Tim Lester. Well, Tim Lester's now the new offensive coordinator at Iowa, having replaced Brian Ferentz in the offseason. So as we connect all these dots, Sullivan to Iowa makes a lot of sense. In more portal news, former Michigan State starting defensive tackle Derek Harmon. He announced he's leaving East Lansing. In fact, he announced it at the end of spring practice, and now he's heading to Oregon. So he's going to stay in the Big Ten. Oregon's pretty excited to have him. And at least he's remaining in the conference. We'll get to see him a little bit. 6'5", 320 pounds. In 3 seasons, 71 tackles, 6.5 for a loss, 3.5 sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. And he started 15 games in the 28 that he played for Michigan State. So this is a guy with some experience, and he'll have 2 years of eligibility left. I thought Michigan State thought they were pretty solid up front defensively, but they've had a couple of guys leave. But Harmon going to Oregon, Oregon will be glad to have him and playing some defense for them over there. By the way, since he's going to Oregon, let's talk about the Ducks here for a minute. I read some interesting fun facts this weekend, as arguably the Ducks' biggest game on the home schedule is Ohio State, right? Well, Ducks athletic director Rob Mullins says that he has 15 different zip codes from Ohio in his ticket database. Buckeye fans are going to travel to that game. They're trying to snap up all the tickets that they can, and they're going to try and be, well, that's the game of the year, man. It really is. I think that game will have a big say in who wins the Big Ten championship this season coming up. And also with the fact that Oregon is joining the Big Ten, their athletic director says there's a lot of excitement. Almost all the games are sold out right now. You're going to have to probably hit some tickets on the secondary market if that's something you want. Go to Game Time. They got an app. By the way, Oregon's Autzen Stadium, it's one of the smallest venues in the Big Ten. It holds just 53,000 people. The average capacity around the Big Ten is 71,000. So a good bit smaller. Might be time to expand that north end over there at Autzen Stadium. And some more portal news from last week, just kind of getting caught up a little bit. The Nittany Lions pretty deep at running back, and redshirt freshman London Montgomery entered the portal last week. He was one of the top recruits in the state of Pennsylvania. He stayed home, decided to go to Penn State, redshirted last year in 2023, but now he has decided to move on. So, I think it's he's sitting here talking about Penn State and Oregon, and I think it's gonna be an incredible chase for the Big Ten title this year. I really like Oregon's chances to make some noise in its very first year. You know that's what Dan Lanning wants to do. He wants to come over here and put his flag down in the Big Ten and take it. Ohio State is loaded as well. Penn State every year they go 10-2, they lose to Michigan and Ohio State. Don't have Michigan this year. Maybe you want Michigan this year, but you don't get Michigan this year. I don't think they're going to be as formidable. I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but I don't think they're going to be as formidable as they have been in the past. I just think, Southern Cal, what are they bringing to the table? I think it's going to be a fantastic year in the Big Ten this year. And we're about, 3 months away from getting serious with practice and all that kind of stuff and getting this season lined up. So anyway, love to hear from you guys and your comments as well on YouTube. Love it when you guys go back and forth with the rivalry stuff. Although the Michigan and Ohio State people are mean to each other, but everybody else is cool. So go ahead and hit us up there. By the way, do you have a TV on in the background during the day? I don't know if you work at home, have a home office, all those talking head TV shows on ESPN and Fox Sports throughout the day. Sometimes you just got to turn the volume down, man. All the talking, screaming, yelling, just turn it down. In fact, turn it off. Got an idea for you. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel. It's programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, which we always promote here on Locked On, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, coming out of the weekend, here we are at the beginning of the week. We always like to keep an eye on everything, talk about everything, and we always like to compile on Monday our Big Ten top 10 list, top 10 observations that we saw from around the Big Ten this weekend. We'll see if your favorite item made the list as well. Sports year's starting to wind down just a little bit, so there are some other interesting things that may get a little more of our attention these days. It's always a good time of year to do that. So that's all coming up here in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Monopoly Go. This is taking the world by storm here. Monopoly Go. You all played Monopoly as a kid, the board game, right? Now, digitally, we could play, Monopoly Go. Team up with your friends for time tournaments. We work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you can unlock. There's a lot to get. They got a unique sticker booklet you can put together for prizes. Cool new traveling pieces to travel around the board with. That's always a topic of conversation where you play Monopoly. Everybody has their favorite piece. Well, they got a whole list of stuff here. Hilarious emojis for taunting your friends and smashing their buildings and heisting their vaults like an Ocean's 12 movie. Plus, Monopoly Go. It's new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges and unique mini games. You dig for treasure. There's always new timed events that are always available to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now for free on Google Play or the App Store. It is game on. Check it out with Monopoly Go. All right, I am going to put on screen our Big Ten top 10 observations from the weekend, and I'll describe them in detail if I can here for you. If you're listening on audio only, don't want to leave you out just because you don't have the video. That's cool. Put it up here, and we'll go full screen with it. All right, the first thing we're going to start with here, a little baseball, a little Big Ten baseball over the weekend where Indiana beat Purdue 5-4 on Sunday. Great game. Beat them on Saturday 10-2 as well. Rutgers, the more baseball, beat Maryland, a pitcher's duel on Saturday. If you missed that one, a 2-1 nail biter there. Let me get that on screen while we're talking about it. All right, and then at number 8, Illinois baseball beating Ohio State on Saturday 10-5. A big offensive explosion for the Fighting Illini on the baseball diamond. Also, we have Ohio State softball beating Michigan 2-1. Again, a nail biter, pitching battle. Had to mention this because anytime Ohio State and Michigan play each other in any sport, we make it a big deal. It's pretty cool. Let's see what else we have here. Top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. At number 6, Michigan State, a 12-1 win over Michigan on Saturday in baseball. That's another big rivalry game we always like to point out there. A lot of offense in that one. 12-8 on that Saturday game. Number 5, the Michigan State. The game they won in 10 innings over Michigan on Friday. 3-2 squeaker, extra innings. Friday night, under the lights, Michigan State with the win over Michigan. Again, our Big Ten top 10 observations from the weekend. Let's see what else we have here. And number 4, a shout out to Ohio State men's tennis team advancing to the Super Regionals. Keeping the postseason going there. Congratulations to them. Very dominating. At number 3, a shout out to the Northwestern lacrosse team, the women's lacrosse. They won the Big Ten tournament. So congratulations to them. And at number 2, men's lacrosse, Michigan wins the Big Ten tournament title there. So congratulations. And then our number 1 observation out of our top 10 Big Ten observations over the weekend, Northwestern softball. You know, they're ranked 23rd in the country. They beat Indiana 4-2 on Sunday to wrap up their 10th conference championship regular season. They now go into the Big Ten tournament as the number 1 seed overall. Congratulations to Northwestern and the Lady Wildcats for doing that in the regular season in softball. So those are our top 10 Big Ten top 10 observations from the weekend, things that caught our eye over the weekend. So maybe I missed one. Let me know. Maybe your favorite item or event. Maybe we missed it. We'll be glad to give it a shout out if you hit me up with the comments. Always looking forward to that as well. And let me talk about that again. Many ways to interact with Locked On Big Ten. Twitter, X, Talk Big Ten, number 10. Hit me up there. Don't forget, tomorrow, we've got Tuesday tweets. I always collect the good ones. Hit me up today, this afternoon. We'll get them out there. Don't forget our website, talkbig10number10.com as well. And then the comments on YouTube are always there. We always go through those every single day. In the meantime, before we go, a couple of invitations. Invite you to check out another edition of Locked On Big Ten right here, right after this one. Always good to do a doubleheader. You can always go back in our archives on our website, talkbig10number10.com, and find all of them archived there. We've got them grouped by team or school as well. So Twitter, the website, the comments on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe if you don't mind. Always ask you to do that before you go. Just click the button and you're good and you're in. You can find us next time as well and share us with your friends. Subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Also, don't forget, check out our friends from Locked On. They've launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's called Locked On Sports Today. It is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering each and every league. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe there too when you're done with us, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. That will do it. Again, we'll keep an eye on portal news, any breaking large, bigger picture stories like we did today about how this House versus and the NCAA lawsuit, revenue sharing is coming. It's going to force Notre Dame to do something. I think they're coming to the Big Ten finally because of this. So we'll always keep an eye on that. We love talking about college football any time of year anyway, so I'm sure we'll get into that as well. Thanks for checking us out. Can't wait till we talk again tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.